if you want me to do it myself.
What's the condition?
And then forever.
That's what I'm asking.
Marry me, Bella.
Where is it? No. 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 Ah, here it is. Alright. Yeah, as if suicide could have saved me from this movie. So, New Moon is the second in the so-called Twilight Saga. It's not a saga, it's a series. Saga is way too epic. The Star Wars Saga. Lord of the Rings Saga. The Twilight Saga? Nope. Well, let's get into the story. Just like the first movie, not gonna take that long. Edward breaks up with Bella. Bella gets together with Jacob. Jacob breaks up with Bella. Bella tries to kill herself. Yay! Bella survives. Edward tries to kill himself. Bella saves him. Dang it. Edward proposes to Bella. As far as actual introduction, conflict, and resolution go, again, the story takes up 35 minutes. However, this movie is 130 minutes long. I actually did the math. You guys aren't going to believe this. Twilight had 35 minutes of actual plot. Introduction, conflict, resolution. It was 122 minutes long. If we calculated that, that makes about 28.7% of the movie actually about plot, actually relevant. New Moon had 35 minutes of actual plot, again, introduction, conflict, and resolution, but it was 130 minutes. So it had 26.9% of actual relevance. So, New Moon is actually paced out worse than Twilight. How do you do that? Oh, and you want to know some other things about how padded this movie is? I took notes while I was watching the movie. Yeah, what else am I going to do during Twilight? I put it as feels like 4 hours. And that is serious. I was watching this movie non-stop, straight through. I didn't even stop for any reason whatsoever. And it felt like forever. I don't even wear a watch, and I was checking my wrist to find out when this movie was over, how long it actually had been. I didn't check the running time until after the movie. I could have sworn it was 3 or 4 hours long. Of course, it might as well have been, seeing as how everything was in slow. I'm serious. Everything is in slow. That, or when it's not in slow motion, which is very, very rare, they always, always hold out a scene for an awkwardly long time after the scene ends. All I can think about throughout the whole movie is just cut to something. There's gotta be something going on in this universe.
Cut! Cut! Cut!
So the padding is horrible. Big surprise. Oh, and another thing. How do they extend out a 35-minute story into a 130-minute movie? Lots and lots of montages. I think this one is probably the most notable of all the montages. This is the one I had the biggest problem with. There is a 6-minute montage of Bella sitting in a chair. The camera rotating around her as she sits in a chair. Hint, just because you use cool, weird camera angles does not make you unique. It does not make you artsy. It makes you stupid. Enough about the story and the pacing and whatnot. I can go on for those for hours. Here's something else I want to talk about. The acting and the characters. I have to put them together because they are both so bad that it has to be a little bit of both are responsible for just how bad they are. And first we go with Kristen Stewart. I already made the point that she cannot act. She could not act her way out of a box. But I was able to actually laugh at just how bad an actor she is with some of her most famous moments. I have to blame the director on this because how could a director let these actions fly? For example, when Edward breaks up with Bella, she does the constipation. And then, of course, when she sees the spectral ghost of Edward, we get the sneeze. But if all of those are bad, here is the number one. This one I like to call the Kill Me, Not Edward. Okay, I have to respond to that. Alright, director, I have to say this. I know Kristen Stewart is worthless as an actress, but you let these things fly? One of the good things about this movie is that Robert Pattinson is actually out of the way. He's not in most of the movie, except for, of course, flashbacks. But I'll get to the character of Bella after I get with all the acting. Jacob is fine. The werewolves are probably the best part, as long as they're not werewolves. All of the werewolf characters are actually kind of interesting. They have emotion. They kind of tend to inflect. That's something really weird. This movie has a lot of soap opera-ish acting, with such stellar lines as, "Marry me, Bella." And, wow, that's actually kind of cool. The werewolves actually have some inflection. It's just a shame that their transformations are some of the worst special effects I've ever seen. Are you telling me that they couldn't spend a little bit more money to make these effects better? Oh wait, that's right. They weren't trying to spend a lot of money to make it good. They were trying to spend a lot of money so that they could make a lot of money off of ignorant people. My mistake. Bella's dad is cool, of course. He has a much smaller role in this movie, but it's still an important role. And of course, he actually punishes Bella in this movie, which I do have to say, good job. Unfortunately, she has no respect for him whatsoever. How do I know this? Because she leaves for Italy. And she doesn't tell her dad. In fact, the character of Alice, who is, while annoying, is one of the more engaging of the Cullens. I can, in fact, compliment this movie when it does something at least decent. Primarily because when it does something decent, it's contrasting something that's utter garbage, so the good stuff actually comes off really good. But anyway, Alice actually makes a point to tell Bella, "Shouldn't you tell your dad?" Bella's line is this, and I quote, I'm 18. I'm legally allowed to go wherever I want. He doesn't have to know. You know what, Bella? You're right. I'm 18. I could go wherever I want. However, it's commonly called common courtesy. You let people you stay with know where you're at, so if something happens, they're there to help. Granted, I don't think her dad would be very good at fighting the Volturi, which are another positive of this movie. I will get into them a little later. In short, before I get on that rant, Bella's dad wasted. If they spent a little bit more time on him, I think it would have been more engaging. Again, the werewolves are all decent characters. Bella's dad, a decent character. Everyone else, except for maybe the Volturi. The Volturi, they're a lot of fun in just how goofy they are. But I will say this. Unlike every other vampire in this movie, for the most part, the Volturi act like vampires. I was bored throughout this entire movie. I was waiting for it to end. One scene that I thought was handled really well, was really good, was when those vampires were leading a group of tourists into the Volturi's room. We don't see them, we only hear, and it's handled great. That is probably the best scene in the movie. That is the only scene where I actually kind of felt a little creeped out, which you're supposed to in a vampire movie, but also where I was really invested in what these characters were doing. So the Volturi, the werewolves, and the dad, they're good. Everyone else is some degree of awful. They have all the problems of the first movie, with Bella having a new problem. Not only is she completely selfish, not only is she completely ungrateful, not only is she completely cruel to everyone around her, but now she's a manipulator. In the first movie, I could at least ignore her because she was being loyal to this one guy. In this movie, she starts, I guess you could say, going out with her friend Jacob only because it allowed her to be able to see Edward. It's a really weird thing. However, she then goes out with Jacob and another guy, and then she still got feelings for Edward. So she is actually juggling 3 guys' emotions at one point. That is mean, and that is cruel. And she leads them on. That's the worst part. You know, if it were some confusion around the characters, I could understand that. That would actually be kind of interesting. Nope. She makes them think that she has feelings for them when in all reality, all her feelings are on this guy. The uninteresting vampire. The other characters aren't that great either. I mean, Jacob's fine. The other guy's fine. But they're interesting characters, as opposed to Edward. Also, there's a not so subtle, in fact it's basically shoved down your throat, message or like trying to make a similarity between Romeo and Juliet. Okay, I see what you're trying to go for. I see in the story what you're wanting. Except it requires subtlety! I'm serious. They hammer this whole message down as much as they can. Even having Bella wake up with a book of Romeo and Juliet. Subtlety. Bella's uninteresting. The story is awful. The pacing is even worse than the first movie. A few of the characters are interesting, and I can see what they were trying to go for, but again, it botched in the delivery. There is nothing good in this movie. And even when the first movie was actually kind of entertaining to watch and how bad it is. This movie spends so much time whining and complaining that there is nothing even remotely funny to watch. Except for maybe the Volturi's acting. That's about the funniest thing in this movie. Because they're being hammy, they're being corny. Which, if nothing else, completely drolls out the soap opera-ish monotone of everyone else. But you know the worst part? And you guys are gonna laugh. Whoever sent me these Twilight movies did so on my library card. They put it in my account. And it got an overdue fee. And I'm actually so angry. I don't like these movies so much that I don't even want to pay the library fine for this. The library fine is too much money for these movies. So you know what? New Moon? Your time has come. If you want to see this movie, go to the library. Borrow it from the library. You can watch it, but do not make this movie overdue. You do not want to actually spend money on this in any way. I don't even want to pay the library fine for the movie. Avoid spending money on this. In fact, it would probably be just a good idea to ignore this movie altogether. Well, that's over with. Now I get to see Eclipse, what some people say is the best movie in the series. Of course, in a movie series this god-awful, that can't be saying a lot. At least, The Dark Knight Rises. Woo! Alright. I'll see you guys next week for The Dark Knight Rises. This has been Cinema in Review, and I will see you guys next time. Oh, and whoever sent me those horrible movies, I am not amused.